Donald Trump has made a massive U-turn over the Epstein Files. After months of resistance and calling it a hoax, he instructed Republicans in Congress to vote for a bill that could see the files released in full. And so for the president and his MAGA movement, this moment could change everything. And it's a pretty dramatic shift in strategy, because Trump went from campaigning to release every file,
I'd be inclined to do the Epstein. I'd have no problem with it.
to saying this once in office.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
I call it the Epstein hoax. Total bullshit. Okay?
But people haven't stopped talking about Epstein, because a new avalanche of emails purport to illuminate the former relationship between the president and the disgraced financier. And this latest release of Epstein Files didn't come from the White House or the Department of Justice or the FBI. Instead, Congress acted. First, 3 emails were leaked by the Democrats, then a flood of thousands of documents from the Republicans. The White House dismissed it all.
It's a hoax. The whole thing is a hoax.
But these emails and messages appear to show, again, just how close Epstein and Trump used to be. We revealed in August that the DOJ holds terabytes of evidence relating to Epstein. So this latest release is nowhere near the full story. But it raises so many more questions for Trump. Like why he's changing his position now, and how it could shape the next crucial months of his presidency.
These emails look terrible for Trump. Just because there isn't evidence of crimes doesn't mean it's good for him or he's exonerated by it.
Now, the 20,000 plus documents Republicans dropped included plenty of high-profile names, but one name comes up again and again and again: Donald Trump.
Part of the reason we suspect he hasn't released them is because of his association with Jeffrey Epstein over the years. His name keeps coming up.
People around the world have been combing through all these new files, and will be for days to come. From what we can see so far, there's nothing explicitly tying Trump to sexual assault. And of course, the president has not been accused of any wrongdoing and specifically denies knowledge of Epstein's crimes. But there are things these files do show, like Epstein trying to leverage his former relationship with Trump for political influence. Take this email, sent to a New York Times reporter, Landon Thomas Jr., during Trump's first campaign to be president. Epstein offers up a photo of Donald and the girls in bikinis in my kitchen, though such a photo would not be incriminating in itself. Journalist Michael Wolff corroborates the existence of pictures like these.
I have seen the pictures of the girls, again, a dozen snapshots, 3 of which I vividly remember, 2 with topless girls sitting on Donald Trump's lap.
In another text from 2018, Epstein discusses the president with an acquaintance and says, "I am the one able to take him down." Now, Wolff has previously said that during the 2016 election, Steve Bannon reportedly jokingly told Epstein, "You were the only person I was afraid of during the campaign." And Epstein apparently replied, "As well you should have been." And none of this accuses Trump of any criminal wrongdoing.
Donald Trump can't be prosecuted based on these emails for many reasons. The sitting president can't be prosecuted. Mere knowledge is not enough. We're talking about politics, we're talking about perception, and we're talking about embarrassment here.
These emails could indeed be embarrassing for Trump. In an email sent by Epstein in 2017, he claims to have been spending Thanksgiving in the same area as the then sitting president. If Trump and Epstein were in the same area for the holiday and potentially spent it together, then it directly contradicts Trump's claims that he broke off relations with Epstein more than a decade before. Now, Trump has yet to address these specific allegations directly, and the White House records from the time show that Trump did spend the holiday in Mar-a-Lago, but no guest list has been released. The relationship between the two men has previously consistently been downplayed by President Trump, but these ties between the two go back decades. It's believed they first became friends in the late 1980s or early 1990s. Flight logs reveal that Trump flew on Epstein's plane, nicknamed the Lolita Express, at least 7 times between 1993 and 1997. In an interview with New York Magazine in 2002, Trump described Epstein as a terrific guy, and just 2 years before he died, Epstein said he was Donald Trump's closest friend for 10 years. Epstein's relationship with Trump was brought up in his 2010 deposition to the FBI.
Have you ever socialized with Donald Trump in the presence of females under the age of 18?
Though I'd like to answer that question, at least today, I'm going to have to assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights, sir.
Trump has repeatedly denounced Epstein and distanced himself from the disgraced financier, denying he ever went to his infamous island.
I had a falling out with him a long time ago. I don't think I've spoken to him for 15 years. I was not a fan of his, that I can tell you.
So where do these new files fit in to this timeline? The Democrats chose to release 3 specific emails, intended, no doubt, to damage Trump and force the hand of law enforcement.
The DOJ and the FBI have the most pertinent information, and we're trying to get out what the reasoning is behind not releasing these files. That's why I released those particular emails.
And all three raise questions. On the 2nd of April 2011, 5 years before Donald Trump is president, Epstein writes to Ghislaine Maxwell, "I want you to realize that the dog that hasn't barked is Trump." He then says Trump spent hours at his house with one of Epstein's victims, but that he has never once been mentioned. Again, it's important to note they don't say that Trump did anything wrong, only that Trump was present. Maxwell replies, "I have been thinking about that." So let's unpack this. It's a private conversation between the pair.
They did not ever intend for these emails to get out. I don't think they had an incentive to lie in those instances when they're emailing each other about very important strategy.
Remember, a year earlier, Epstein refused to answer the FBI's questions about Trump. And then here, in this email, he alleges Trump spent hours with a victim. But 14 years later, Maxwell told the US Deputy Attorney General from inside prison that she didn't ever recall seeing Trump in Epstein's house. After that interview with Todd Blanche, Maxwell was moved to a lower security prison. Since then, reports have come out saying she's receiving preferential treatment. The next email is from 2015. At this point, Trump's running for the White House and questions about his relationship with Epstein are being raised. Here, Epstein asked the journalist Michael Wolff what response he would craft for Trump if the candidate was pushed on this issue. "I think you should let him hang himself," Wolff says, and advises that Trump's answer could give Epstein political currency and work to his benefit. In the end, the Epstein story wouldn't explode until 2019, when Trump was in the White House. But Wolff's email here raises ethical questions. Why was he giving advice to Epstein, a convicted sex offender?
Remember what's going on here. I am in this, I am where no one else is. I am in proximity to a story which actually most people don't see at this point.
It's damaged Wolff's credibility as a journalist, and it makes it easy for the White House to call this a setup. But more than that, it shows the potential to weaponize a relationship which Trump denies ever existed. And then we come to the third email released by the Democrats. It's another exchange with Wolff, this time from January 2019. Again, the name of the victim is redacted, and Epstein writes that Trump knew about the girls as he asked Ghislaine to stop. Epstein claims that Trump knew what was going on, something Trump has always denied.
You certainly have to take the written and spoken words of criminals with a grain of salt. Just because he's made these accusations doesn't necessarily mean that they're true.
In another email, sent shortly before he was arrested in 2019, Epstein claimed Trump knew of it and came to my house many times during that period. But he added he never got a massage. The president himself has also consistently said he knew nothing of Epstein's illegal behavior. So where do all these emails, messages, and files leave us? Well, for Trump, he's desperate for it to go away.
No matter what we give, it's never enough.
There are so many more questions to be answered by Trump and many others here.
We're trying to get to the truth, and the problem is Donald Trump is in the way of the truth right now. And so he's very much made himself relevant to this investigation.
And the biggest question of all, what's in all of the files that still haven't been released? According to our investigation, we know that there are terabytes of information, from phone records to recorded videos, that have not yet been made available to the public. The Republicans and Democrats so far have given us tens of thousands of documents, but there could be hundreds of thousands, perhaps millions more to come.
At a minimum, there should be videos of who was at Epstein's Island, right? The question is, when is that information going to be made public, if at all?
This scandal has rocked American politics. For Democrats, the scandal provides more proof against a man they see as unfit to be president.
He campaigned on releasing all the Epstein files, obsessed about it. His vice president obsessed about it. And now the White House is involved in a massive cover-up, and we want to know why won't they release the files?
And for Trump's MAGA movement, this is exactly what many of them rage against. Conspiracy, corrupt elites, evidence of a swamp that Donald Trump swore he would drain. That's why Trump's election pledge to release the files was so effective and his attempts to back away from them so damaging. By leaking these emails and the push from the Democrats to release the files in full, Congress has effectively seized control. Trump's hand has been forced, and this U-turn really exposes just how big the Epstein problem is for the president.
The country has never been in better shape.
In his second term, Trump has enjoyed near blanket support from Congress. But on Epstein, even hardcore MAGA supporters like Marjorie Taylor Greene have gone against the president. And their war of words led to Trump withdrawing support for one of his closest allies.
The most hurtful thing he said, which is absolutely untrue, is he called me a traitor, and that is so extremely wrong.
And others have openly said they would vote against the president's wishes.
There are other Republicans who, if this came up to the floor for a vote, they would vote yes. They've told me that.
This move to back a vote he was always going to lose may buy Trump some time, but the Trump-Epstein story is far from over. For one, we have no idea what else is in those files and what connections they might have with the president. And despite Trump's stunning reversal, there's still no guarantee the files will actually be released. The bill will need Senate approval, and with many Republicans up for re-election next November, Trump could lean on them to kill it at that point. Even if the Senate does pass the bill, it still needs one more signature, Donald Trump's. He thrives on the unexpected, and it would be a huge political risk if he tries to stand in the way of a full release again. More likely then is Trump will spin this U-turn to his advantage.
The MAGA reaction to anything Epstein related is it's a very predictable cycle. It starts off with, this is fake, this is a hoax, Democrats made this up. Then it transitions to, well, it's real, but they're not presenting it in the way that they should be. Then it transitions to, it's real and it's great for us.
It might also be that we're seeing a major moment here for the MAGA movement. Trump is in his final years of the presidency. He can't run for another term. This movement is looking for the next person in line to wear the MAGA crown. The Epstein Files are just one among a number of issues being debated right now by that movement. Many are angry that Tucker Carlson recently interviewed the far-right figure Nick Fuentes, something Trump has defended. Others are mad about Trump's approach to visas for foreign workers.
We're seeing the very beginnings of a party that has built itself around Donald Trump for the last 10 years, realizing that he's going to be off the stage sooner rather than later, and they have to figure out who they are as a party.
With a year to go until the crucial midterm elections, it's very likely that whatever happens next with these votes, we'll see more Epstein Files released, and with that, more questions for the Trump administration about his friendship with Epstein and his handling of these documents. Much of Donald Trump's political future is tied to the Epstein Files, and as much as the president hopes this will go away, those terabytes of information could give Donald Trump more problems and more questions to answer. And we're closer than ever to finding out what secrets they really hold.